we are back. We are back. We are back. We do apologize for that little delay. But hey, that's only because we know that this conversation is going to be good and it's definitely going to be helpful to many, many, many couples, those who take what they hear and apply, because that's the only way it's going to work. You have to be willing
to apply it.
To apply it. And my question is to you, if what you have been doing has not been working, what is wrong with you trying something else? Huh?
Correct.
All right. So we're going to bring on our guest. Excuse me again. The Birds. Hello again. Welcome back. This is a conversation that has to be had, right?
Yes.
All right. So let's do this. Pull your screen down a little bit. Pull your screen down a little bit. There you go. A little more. There you go. I don't want y'all looking like little midget people, you know?
Okay.
Yes, sir. All right. So let's start from the beginning. Ask the questions, my love.
So tell the listening audience, how did this love story evolve?
Okay, so again, I was in the 6th grade. That's when I met him. And we weren't talking. I was very, very shy. I've always been a shy girl.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward, we get to middle school. He's there. My dad made me run track. And so I would see him all the time because he ran track as well. And don't tell nobody you was.
I ain't gonna tell you how to do it to you, but go
did
ahead.
Nothing. He did nothing. But we used to have practice in the morning and in the evening. He was on the boys track team. I was on the girls track team. So we ran track together. We had meets together. He was were you in the band at Brunswick?
Yeah.
He was in the band. I was a cheerleader. So it was like we always had interaction. Fast forward to high school. I didn't see him anymore because we moved and I didn't see him anymore. You know, I went to a different middle school. My last year of middle school, I went to a different school. And then, like he said, he saw me, he was playing Optimus ball. And I was walking from Trask Powell Stadium and I was coming through the field and they were playing football. And I hear somebody say, Celeste Gaynor. And I was like, who is calling my name? This guy. And so we would always have these encounters where he would see me. I knew he liked me, but I didn't think he was a big jokester. Darren loved to make people laugh. And so I always felt like he was just this big jokester. And he did in school every day. So you want to if I buy you lunch and come sit with me? I was like, no, with my friends. Because I thought he was joking. He asked me to the prom. I was like, no. Because he always joked, and I didn't think he was serious. I didn't take him serious
Right.
back then.
So now you know why I know. Now you know why we together. I let her walk all over me.
Nah,
but it's all good. It's all good.
Nah, bro. Don't say that to me.
Nah, it's all
And
good.
I think, like he said, when I got to high school, I went to Miami Central, and he was on the bus because he was going to school for bad kids because him and his brothers was.
Oh, don't do it to him.
And I heard somebody call my name again. I was pregnant at the time. And somebody said, Celeste Gaynor. And I looked up and it's him on the bus. And he was trying to get off the bus. And I was like, this boy crazy. Then we moved. After I had my son, we moved on 46. And one day I was sitting outside with my boyfriend. And he walked by. And he came in the yard and he sat on the porch with me and my boyfriend. He did that every day. He saw me. He would come and he would sit on the porch. And the guy was like, you seeing him? And I was like, no, I'm not. He's my friend. Like we went to school together. He was like, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And he broke up with me because of him. He broke up with me. He was like, I can't do this. I know you see him. And I was like, I'm seeing him. Like, I see him when you see him, when we sitting down here. But my mom told me, she was like, that boy liked you. And I was like, you don't like me. He's just Bird. That's who he is. So he was getting ready to go to the military after we graduated.
He pointed my finger.
And he came to my house. He was trying to get me. I was like,
So Bird, I want to ask a question in reference to your strategy. When you showed up and when the boyfriend was there, her boyfriend was there, you showed up and you sat on the porch, as she said. You didn't say a word. You didn't say anything.
You have to be all in their conversation. I'm blocking that out. Ain't nothing, boy. You jump around here. You know, God moved my mama around the corner from her mama for a reason. That was the reason behind that. You know, I was always been fascinated by it. I don't know, just something about it just it had me. It had me when I first saw her. I just knew she was going to be mine. But you know.
Okay, so how old are you at this time?
Oh Lord, that was what 17 going on 18.
Graduated. He was 18.
Yeah, I was 18. I just graduated.
18. Yeah. So sixth grade. What? 11?
11 and
Yeah.
12.
12.
Yeah. I was 11. He was 12.
Yeah.
And they used to come over to our house, and my dad was very, very strict. But it used to be a bunch because it was 5 of us, 5 girls, and all these boys used to congregate over to our house. And when my dad would step outside, they would just like
scatter.
And so my dad was like, "I don't want the boys around here." And he was a stalker. He's still a stalker, but he's not a stalker. He's my stalker.
Hey, and I enjoy doing it. I'm good at it, man. You know, but I just, but this, I knew God, kept putting me, because if you look at the timeline, he put me in her life in different times in her life, to the point till he allowed us to become, I guess joint together, until
After
right now.
He came back from the military.
After I came back from the military.
Started dating.
So you went to the military. Did you stay in contact with each other?
She used to write me.
I used to write him.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
We had plans. Like I told him if he go to, because he was going to California, and he was like, "Would you come to California?" I was like, "Yeah, I'll come." Because at that point, you're like, we still weren't like dating, but I think that I was comfort for him. Because at the time he had a son, I had my son, but again, we weren't dating at that time. We was just talking, and I would write him letters. He would write me back, and all of a sudden the letters just stopped coming. Like we just stopped,
so
and he just went on about his life.
So the question is, though, Darren, due to the fact it didn't bother you, due to the fact that she had already had a child?
It didn't, because I was in the same situation, so we had something in common. She was a mother, I was a father, both of us at young ages. But
at teenagers. So you all were teenage parents?
Yes, we were.
When you started dating, basically,
yeah.
After the military. Okay. What branch did you go to? What service did you go to?
I was in the Navy.
In the Navy, okay. Navy smart man. Okay, that's good. All right. So you went to the military, you come back, then what? Tell us about that.
The first time I came home, I went to our house. I went right to our house. Straight to our house. That was my first destination. Hoping I ain't see nobody around there. I was gonna pull that same game. I ain't going nowhere. Because I don't know, I was in pursuit, It's just something that she had that I know I needed, but I didn't recognize how much I needed it. And but I just knew, I think she felt the same way I felt. And
yeah, that's when we started dating.
When I came home
from the military.
So once you started dating, tell us what was a dating experience like. Listen, this is
we were just being grown, we were just.
Well, when he came home, Darren wasn't focused. I guess if I could say that, he really wasn't focused. He wanted me. I do know that, but he also desired to have close relationships with his brothers, but his brothers were so street, like everything about them was street. They wanted to sell drugs and use drugs, and they just wanted to do what they wanted to do. And I wasn't raised like that. Like when my dad was a drug addict, but when my dad started using drugs, he left our family. So my mom raised us girls as a single mom from the time I was in, I want to say, the 8th grade. So I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that type of man, I guess.
Right.
And I was still like trying to really figure out what I was doing with my own life. So he would come over every day. Every day he would come over. And I guess
I was working construction.
Yeah, he was doing construction. And I was going to Lindsay Hopkins. I decided to go to school I was going to Lindsay Hopkins. But every day I had to walk past his mom's house to get to my house. And he would see me every single day. And we just started dating from there. It just blossomed.
How old are you now? How old are you now?
Right now, I'm 52.
No. At the
Oh,
time
at that time,
when you started
um,
dating.
1920.
I was about 19, 20. Yeah,
So you're still young,
yeah,
basically.
very young.
Yeah.
And how old is your child at this time?
My son, oh God, Eric had to be 4,
4 years
3 or
old.
4,
Mhm.
because his son was, I think his son was
Two.
two.
Darren
So
was.
Okay.
Eric was 4.
Mm-hmm.
So
About a year and
so
a half.
okay, good. All right. So and you said that your mother had to continue to raise you and your sisters.
My sisters by this time are gone. They have moved out
Oh,
because I had 3 older sisters
okay.
who had already moved out. I was the only one still living at home with my mom.
All
My
right.
youngest sister, she had already gotten married and left home.
Okay.
She got married when she was in school, so
Okay.
she was
Got
already
married while she was in school.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Wow, y'all got some stories there. Okay. All right. All right. So you said that he was not focused because see, I heard you say something that I heard you say is something that I think that a lot of women marry men. They get in relationships with men
Mhm.
and then they marry them after they marry them, then they want to try or attempt to correct them, bring change, mold them, what have you. Tell us what was that experience like with you and Darren, because you said that he was following, you saw where he was not focused, he was following, attempting to
Follow his brother.
follow a lifestyle that you were not used to. Okay, so from your perspective, how were you really set on not being involved with Darren? So guess what? So let me ask this question. I don't want to sound like I'm rambling. So you enter your relationship with him, but you see that he is not doing right. Were you torn between the two, whether or not to stay in a relationship, or was you like, no, I'm not doing this?
I wasn't torn at all. I loved him. I did love him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wasn't willing to compromise. I never. Darren turned. I saw him turn from this kind, gentle soul into something else. And when I saw him turn into this person, I didn't like it
Mm.
because he began to get. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't violent with me, but he
Right.
was violent at me. If that makes sense. And when I saw him become violent at me, I was like, ho, like this, I'm not gonna do,
Right.
Um, but we kept dating, like it was strenuous.
Mm-hmm.
But by this time, my daughter was pregnant with my first daughter, right? I was pregnant with Quani. But I knew that I I knew who he was inside. I always knew the kind of man that he was. Darren has always been loving. Um, but I could not deal with what I was seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
I knew at some point that he stepped into something he shouldn't have.
Did
And when
you
he
ever
stepped into that,
did you ever consider dating somebody else?
no,
So
no,
Darren was always the focus,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
but you weren't going to connect with him as long as he was in that following that mindset, that lifestyle, that spirit that he was in.
I was willing to let him go be who he wanted to be,
Oh
and I was
wow.
going to be okay because I wasn't going to allow him to trample over my life. And I had a child on the way. I'm not going to let you destroy my life because that's what you want to do with yours. But my mom always told me, if you love something, you have to set it free if it's no good for you, and if it's for you to come back to you.
Whoa.
It did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Whoa.
Yeah. I
So-
ran. I ran for a while, Lionel. Like I ran.
So
I,
when
was,
you
I ran for a while. I just ran because I jumped into that. I jumped into that life. I didn't know if I was coming or going, man. I was just out there, and I was just moving, man.
if you care to go into this, because you had mentioned it one time when you was giving your testimony, that you, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, correct me if I am wrong or however this goes. So you had got engaged with drugs and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was smoking cocaine, weed, cigarettes, drinking. I was I was the neighborhood thug. You know, I was the neighborhood thug. I really was, and I was something that I never thought I can become. I'm just leave it right there. I ain't gonna, I can go, yeah, because I really was that. I was one of those guys, you know, that you wouldn't. What you see today, I'm 100% different than when I was back
No
then.
doubt, no doubt.
Definitely different.
But I believe it'll help somebody. That's why I told
Yeah,
you.
because
Right.
I've been there, Lionel. I've been there in gun battles. I've been through all the stuff. I really was. I was a thug. I was that guy that you didn't want to see on the corner. I was him.
The reason that I if you allow me just to flow with what I'm feeling in my spirit, the reason that I feel that your story is so prevalent is because we know a lot of wives who are in marriages and relationship with men who are either in that lifestyle or struggling with that lifestyle, want to come out of that lifestyle, and they don't know what to do.
Okay.
But yet still, you know, and they what was it for you though? Because it's interesting that you wanted Celeste, but then you also wanted that lifestyle. And I think that there are a lot of men, husbands that have that same mindset right now, and they don't know what to do or how to come out of it. What helped you?
I was lonely.
What was that? Say it again.
I was lonely. I was trying to fill a void space in my life, and I really was lonely. I was lost, man. I was lonely. Every night I'm going home by myself. I took her Bible from her one time when I was in the streets bad, and she came up. I was trying to be fresh, but I ended up taking her Bible, and I got it from her.
That was fast forward though.
Yeah, we fast forward after that.
Proof.
That's proof. But I was still in the streets. I was out there in the streets. You know,
by this time I had already had my second daughter from him.
Yeah.
But you did not, but you said, Celeste, you let him go. You didn't try to hold on to him.
No. When I got pregnant with my second daughter, we moved in together. We was living together. We weren't married. I wouldn't suggest anybody do that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't believers then. We weren't saved at all. So by the time my second daughter came along, and I'm gonna tell you this story because I hope it'll help somebody. Darren had started selling drugs. He always tell me I'm so green. I'm green as a blade of grass. And he loved to say that. And really I am, because I don't know. When you don't know, you just don't know. And I knew nothing. And the police kicked my door in. My children were in their bed sleep. I was in my bed sleep. They kicked my door in. They had the wrong house, but they kicked my door in, right?
Mm-hmm.
My children were in their bedroom on the floor at gunpoint. Wow. I was in my room on the floor at gunpoint, and they were flipping my drawers. Just dumping my drawers, looking for drugs. I had no idea that drugs was in my house, right? After they left, he wasn't home. He was on the street.
I was there.
He wasn't home. You wasn't there. You had left. Okay. When he came back home, they were on the radio. You got in the wrong house. And so they apologized, whatever, and they left. The next day, I packed my children and myself, and I left. I moved to Atlanta. I left him. That was the day. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. I left my job. I left my house. I left everything. Packed my children's clothes, and we left. I wanted no more. Because when he came in, he told me, he said, I had drugs in here.
I did.
I lost it. Mm-hmm. Because at that point, I realized I could have lost my children. Yeah. I don't care about nothing else, but I could have lost my kids.
Yes.
Behind foolishness. Yeah. That you should have told me.
Yeah, but
where the drugs were, they was flipping drawers. It was in there.
No, it was in. I had took them in. I put them in the dirty clothes hamper. I had like $90,000 worth of stuff, and I stuffed it in there.
Here I am working for Miami-Dade County.
Wow.
Gonna lose my job. gonna lose my home, everything.
Yeah,
I just wasn't willing to do that.
I was messed up. Let me tell you something. But I can remember when Kwani was 1 year old, and I think this would kind of like make me kind of flee away from them too. And she was watching Barney. I'll never forget that. And I was standing and I was rolling up a joint, but I thought she wasn't watching me. I thought I had her in front of the TV.
Kwani is who?
The oldest.
The oldest, Kwani
Your
Jr.,
daughter.
the
Yeah.
oldest daughter. And I thought she was watching Barney. So I think I gotta watch Barney. So I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing my thing, you know, because I'm babysitting, you know. I'm cutting hair from the house in the yard. So when I got ready to stand in the front door, I walked to the front door and I got ready to light it up. She came and touched me on my leg and said, "Daddy, what you gotta do? You gotta eat it." And I took it and I flipped it in the water and I just grabbed it and I just started crying because it did something to me. I'm like, oh my God, like, what you doing? And I say, like, if I'm gonna live this lifestyle, I'm not gonna do it around my family. I'm not gonna disrespect her. I'm not gonna disrespect these kids. Because I know I was out there and I know I just wasn't finished. I was in it. I was in it, bro. I was there. And I say I'd rather leave first, you know, before I do this. You know, we was, but she left, and we were separated for some years. You know,
13 years.
We separated for 13 years while I ran in the streets.
Wow.
13 years. Now, again, during those 13 years, you still loved them, Celeste?
I did.
And I always loved her too.
I did.
I used to call and talk on the phone at nighttime.
He did.
When she lived with a man in Atlanta.
Oh, wow.
I just get mad at him. Hey, put her on the phone.
Crazy.
Okay.
Yeah, I still love him.
Wow.
Darren always had my heartstrings, and I
Hold that right there. Hold that right there. That's something key that you just said. Because I know we have women that love their man regardless.
Mm-hmm.
That man has their heartstring. But I think the key with you is that you had your mind made up as to what you were going to tolerate and what you were not.
That's what I was going to say.
Even though you love Darren, you was not going to compromise as far as the relationship as a whole.
I love me more. I love my children more.
Okay. So fast forward 13 years later, you have been in conversation 13 years later. What happened?
I was being fresh with her, you know. Hey, let me tell you, I always loved you, Celeste. I just didn't know how to love me first in order for me to love her the right way.
Bro, you just said the key word right there.
Yeah.
And so, men, those of you who are struggling in your marriage, you struggling to do it right, to get it right with your wife, whatever, what this brother just said is exactly what I had to come to realization for myself. You got to love yourself first.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a love for yourself first, how you going to love anybody else rightly?
You can't share love that you don't have.
Wow.
You know, that was an iniquity for my family through my family life. Every time my mom gave us away twice. Gave us away when problems got hard. She gave us away. The man that was supposed to be my father, whoever he wasn't never in the picture. He was always gone, you know. So I'm searching for love in places. So all I did was I think what naturally came to me was the same thing that was the iniquity that was in my family. They took their responsibility and put it on somebody else and they ran. I didn't even realize that I was walking away from my responsibilities. So one day she called me to watch those girls dance. And I watched those children dance. And something woke up in me. I'm like, look at this. You got a whole family. You got a beautiful family here. You got a family here. And I'm seeing it for the first time. It's like I first seen my kids for the first time ever, even though they was teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lost.
You missed all that.
I missed all that time. And I'm like, and something was just bothering me in my heart, Minister Lionel. I went home every night, man. I'll tell you, I might have been going on that corner, but every night I was going home, I was in my Bible and I was crying. I was crying in that Bible, like, save me, like, help me. Like, you know, I needed help because I was gone. I was killing myself. That's the first time I ever looked in the mirror and saw something on a face on me, a different face on me. If I could say, like, I'm turning my head and the face coming off. Something had me different. Did I say the first time I ever saw who I had became? Because in my mind, I was the best thing happening. But I wasn't. I was the worst thing happening.
Talk to the husbands who may find themselves in that way, in that situation. Well, because I believe a lot of these husbands, they want to do what's right, but they struggle with maintaining what is right. What would you say to them, though?
The number one thing I can say to the husbands that are like that, you got to come to realization that who you are and what you want out of life. Are you going to still be that same person, that angry person, bitter person that you see in the mirror? Are you going to be her companion, or are you going to be her enemy?
That's good.
Are you going to be that man in the mirror's enemy, or are you going to be his companion? See, it's a lot of times we walking with the creed of being a man, but we could be a 30-year-old man and still have a 13-year-old mentality. So what you got to do is you got to learn to take off your Fruit of the Looms and put your boxers on. You got to learn how to take that sagging pants down off you and pull them up and put a belt on you and become a man. See, there's a thing between a man and a boy. Stand up straight. You know, like we say in the class, man up. It's time to man up. And that was my issue. I had to man up for them. Man,
so let me ask you though, because going back just a little bit, just tapping back just a little bit, would you say that you were a victim at one point of your circumstances?
Of course, 100%. Without a doubt.
So then you would say then that if a man is broken, most likely he needs to be healed, be mended from something that is in his past, generational, whatever it may be.
That's true. Because I fight with that a little bit today myself. That certain things you try to mend, it get hard because there's always a division that come in between it. Because when you're trying to mend with that same thing, it can rise up again. Every time you feel like you fix it, it can rise up again. Every time you feel like you don't smooth it out, it go those bumps again. You know, it's just like Lionel, you construction, when you lay in that mud and that air bubble come up in there and pop up in there again. Like, you know, I just don't. You got to go mix it up and smooth it out again. It's the same thing in life. We got to keep smoothing out those rough grounds, the rough edges. And I'm gonna tell you something. It's value for every man to go and fix those things that have caused you to fall into those places where you were.
So he got to mend his past before he can really move forward, have the future that he desires to have.
Look, I had to go mend with her in order for me to have the future I deserve to have. I didn't know what she possessed in her belonged to me, and I didn't know what was in me belonged to her.
Wow, you preaching that, bro.
So it was something that was in both of us that belonged together. But because I was walking wrong as a man, when I was walking wrong as a man and didn't know how to walk as a man, I was lost and I couldn't leave her. You know, even though I was lost, right? But I knew that I needed her. And I called her one night. I'll never forget it. Matter of fact, let me back up a little bit.
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
I was back in that same episode. I'm sitting at the table with another one of these guys, getting high. Jesus. Getting high, and I'm rolling up a joint. I'll never forget this. And I'm telling this guy, say, man, I want my family back. He said, what you just said to me, Bird? I said, man, I want my family back. He said, I've been wanting to tell you that anyway. He said, let me tell you something. You ain't got no business here with us anyway.
Wow.
He said, you too good of a person to be doing what you're doing. This guy was talking to me. He said, I don't know what you're doing here anyway. He said, you are too good of a person, man. He said, man, you always talking about your baby mom and those 2 kids. He said, man, go and get your family back. You want your family? You go get them. And I got up. I sat there and I cried at the table. And I got up and I went in that room. I pondered on that. And I've been talking to God, even though I know I wasn't saved. But I was talking to God. I said, God, I want my family back, Lord. What I'm going to do? He said, and it's like God told me, you get up and you go to them. If you're going to get them back, you go to them. And I went to her and I called her. And I told her, it was Christmas, right? Thanksgiving. And I called her and I said, you know what? I said, I want my family back. He said, what you saying, Bird? Because he think I was playing, but I was serious. I told her, I said, I want my family back. You know, I'm out here. I said, I ain't made no kids or nothing. I ain't did nothing. I said, I need
that would have been a deal breaker.
Yeah. And,
Mhm.
yeah,
I wasn't deal with
and
that.
I'm like, I need you. You know, I need you. Bird, you don't need this. I do. I need you to save me because I'm drowning out here. You know, I'm drowning in my own foolishness, in my own mess. And I needed her at that time. So we talked. We was talking for a while. It was Christmas. Thanks.
I bought you food.
You brought me the food.
Oh, Christmas when you came back.
Yeah. And when I came, it was Christmas. I said, I went and bought the kids something for Christmas. Then I brought her something. And when I gave it, she said, for me, at first she didn't want to take it because every time I gave her something, I took it back when I got mad at her. Young, dumb, foolish.
Everything.
And I thought I could control her that way. You know what I mean? So it was a control thing for me. You know, because I seen the man who my mom must have been my dad. That's what he did to my mom. So that's the only thing I ever knew from a man to mimic that. You know, I never saw, you know, because I never had a real man to show me nothing but maybe one time in my life. That was Shotzi. He was a military man. But when I came back, and she said, Bird, you'll never come see these girls dance. Right?
I couldn't be with him if he wasn't saved.
Yeah, and she said you had
because I didn't know what he was involved
Yeah.
with.
So you was in church now, though. You had
Yeah,
given your life to Christ by now.
Yeah.
I got saved in 98
Yeah.
after my brother-in-law was murdered.
Mhm.
And I was serving the Lord, and he used to call me a holy roller. I said, I don't care what you call me,
That was my way to fight.
but I would not be. And I had zero tolerance for him, zero, because I had become bitter at him, because by this time I was struggling not with my children. I was struggling with the fact that when he would leave work, when he got to one street, he had the opportunity to go left or go right. If he went right, he was coming to see his children. If he went left, he was going home to a woman. And every day that bothered me, because I said, you choose every day to go, to make a left turn with your children over here. And I became so bitter. And I remember a friend of mine in the car, because my kids would ask him for things, and he would tell them, okay, I'll give it to you. But when they got there, it would be like a whole different story. And so I remember this one day, it was time for school. And I had to get their uniforms and stuff. So I went up there to the barbershop to get money from him. And when I got there, he loved a joke. He take everything for a joke. But he said something to me, and I got so mad. I was so angry. I did not curse. I wanted to. I didn't. And I was in the car with my friend from church, and I pulled off, and she said this to me. She said, you must love that man. She said, because the only person that could get angry to make you angry like that, she said, that man right there got you. I said, girl, don't say that to me. I don't love him. I don't even like him. I didn't. But when I got home and you begin to think about things, my best friend tell me to this day, she was like, you didn't date. You went out on dates, but you didn't date. And when I pondered that, I really didn't. I really didn't give myself to anybody. I raised my children. I was afraid to bring men around my daughters because I had daughters and I was protecting them. And it didn't matter. So if that meant I had to beat my flesh into submission, that's what I did. And I raised my girls.
So during the time that he's going through what he's going through, this transition, these 13 years, by now you have given your life to Christ. Even though you still had interactions with him, I guess on the basis of need for the sake of the children. What was he said that he saw his children, he wanted his children, he wanted his family back. How did that happen? How did that transpire? And before you respond, hey, listen, thank you all for your comments. There was a comment here. I want to put this comment up. Mr. Johnson says that if we are not healed, we could possibly repeat our experiences in all relationships. And that is an accurate comment.
That's true.
That's an accurate statement.
Yes.
True.
So men, you got to know this for a fact, that if you're constantly repeating are going through a cycle in your relationship with your wife, it's because there is something that you need to heal from.
Yeah.
Either you are in denial as far as what that is, or you are afraid to address it, or maybe you don't know what that is that you need to address. But something is wrong. And let's just keep it real. You're broken.
Yeah, we're broken.
Right. Right.
You are a broken man. You are a broken man.
And I
Okay.
was a broken man.
Okay.
We had to
So
learn.
how do we get to where we at right now today?
Oh, Jesus is the Lord. Number one, it's God. It was God. I had to come home to where I belong at. First, I had to come home to Jesus, and then I had to learn what it meant to be a husband. Then I had to learn what it meant to be a man. Then I had to learn what it meant to be a provider. Then I had to learn what it meant to be a leader. Then I had to learn what it meant to be a protector. Then I had to learn what it means to be all the things that she needed me to be as a man, as a husband, as a friend, as a father to my children. I fought all those. I fought coming back home. I took everything she had to give me, and I let her. And you know, because I was ready, because I felt I deserved it. You know, give it to me, because we're gonna put it all on the table now, and we're gonna put it out there now so we can get rid of it. Because we don't want to go down the line. Because if you never get rid of it, it's gonna, like the guy with the man was just saying, we got to be healed. We had to be healed. So we went through that thing, and we sat down, and we used to do this thing called sit down time. We'd go and we'd sit down and we'd talk. And whatever we felt like the other one needed to hear or do, we let the other one speak into each other's life. And that's what we did. And I think that will work for us right now today.
But in order for you to address what you said, to learn how to be a husband, learn how to be a provider, learn how to be a protector, and all of those things that you said, that required you to apply a certain level of humility, right?
Of course.
He did, because it wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't easy when he.
So, hold on, wait, I don't mean to cut y'all off, because see, I know we got some men that need to hear this.
Yeah.
They need to hear this.
Absolutely.
Because they male ego, they got this ego thing. They feel that if a woman tells them what they need to do or what's best for themselves, they get all cocky, they chest out and all this kind of stuff. But no, if you won't, and especially if you don't, come on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
Come on. You
know you got a good woman. You know that. You're not crazy. You're not stupid. But then you got too much pride.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Pride.
I didn't come back with pride. I came back with humility. I came back with, I'm apologizing. I'm coming back, I'm coming back and I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get for you to allow me back in here. I could win her, but if I can't win this right here, that ain't no good. If I can't have her heart, I can't have nothing. And that's what I was after, her heart.
And it wasn't easy because before we got married, he had to get out of that situation. He was in a place where and I don't suggest anybody do this, but he was living in a place where he was trying to break away from the drugs, but the owner of the home was a drug dealer.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So he came and he stayed with us, and while he was staying there, I had to ask the Lord to help me to trust him, because I knew God was ordaining something. I knew he was, because, and I'm going to go back a little bit. And during that day on Thanksgiving, he had asked me to bring him some food, and I did. And when I took the food to him, I gave it to him. And when I was pulling off, I was getting ready to pull off, and that's when he said, "I want my family back." And I looked at him. I was like, "What?" He said, "Yes, I want my family back." And I said, "All right, Bird, okay." But you know how that, okay, yeah, all right, okay. And I pulled off. When I pulled off, my heart broke. It's something inside of me just shattered. It shattered. And I heard the Lord say, "Give him an opportunity. I'm going to do it." So I knew at that moment, I said, "God, if this is you," because I knew what I asked God for. And at the end of 2005, I told God, I was like, I said, I don't know why I said it. I didn't tell God, but I said it out of my mouth. I'm going to meet my husband this year. It was going into 2006. I was like, I'm going to meet my husband this year because all of my sisters are married now. I'm the last one. And I remember thinking all of the imitators was trying to, pass through, and I was like, going on. And he kept getting weird. People kept telling him I was getting married. I was like, yeah, no. And it wasn't until November of 2006 that he came. That's when that encounter happened. My heart broke, and the Lord told me to let him in. But I was still skeptical because I was going through a lot of hurt, disappointments, and I was like, I don't know how to do that. Like, I don't know if I could do that.
Miss Bird, I'm gonna tell you something. You and your husband are on it tonight. You all are just, I'm telling you, all are batting 300 plus.
Praise God.
For the very simple reason, I'm telling you, because this is conversations that my wife and I have with other couples, women such as yourself. They don't know what to do, and they think that just because. Okay, I don't want to get ahead, but let me go here. I want to respond to something you said now. Now, so he's not healed. He's not complete. He's not perfect. He's not the man that God wanted him to be. He's not in the place where he should be, but yet still God told you to trust him.
Trust him.
Come on here.
Trust him.
That's right.
Come on. So in essence, you had to take your eyesight off of his position, his condition, his place, and put your eyes on what God wanted you to do for the sake of all of you.
Yeah.
For the sake of, he wanted his family, but guess what? He wasn't going to get his family back until you accepted the whole fact of there being a family between you two. Look at.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah, and it was
Obedience
good.
was always greater than sacrifice.
Yeah.
And I've never had God speak to me like that. And I knew my response meant everything to him. How I responded to the Lord, it meant everything to him. Not only that, when I got back home,
Let me, for understanding, when you say it meant everything to him, you're referring to
the Lord.
The Lord.
Okay.
Because I had to be obedient to him first. I didn't want to fall.
Oh, say that again. Say that again.
I didn't want to fall. I didn't want to fall.
You submitted yourself, your obedience to God.
Yeah.
In spite of the relationship between what was going on between you and him, because it's obvious he was the only man in your life, technically.
That was the only man in my life. That was the only one I allowed to be in my life. I said it's God or nothing. That was my saying. When people ask me who you date anybody, it was Jesus. It's Jesus, because that's all I wanted at that time. I was too afraid to have another man around my children. Remember that went on for a while. And so the one thing that I told God, I remember praying this, and I used to pray it all the time, and I had stopped praying it. But when I first got saved, I used to pray, God, I don't want a man around my children that will harm them, that will beat them, that will touch them. Like, I needed God to show me how to protect my girls, because molestation was the one thing I was afraid that would happen to my children. And I used to tell my friends, if somebody touched my daughters, Channel 7 gonna have a story. I'm gonna be in jail, or I don't know. I don't know. So my prayer was to protect my girls at whatever cost, and I didn't have a man around me. My uncles were around me, but I didn't trust them either. They didn't have the Spirit of God. I didn't know what they were capable of. So my job was to protect my girls. So where I went, they went. I did not leave my children with anybody. But when I got back home that particular night, I cried before the Lord. I went in the room and I just cried before the Lord, and I asked God, I was like, how do I do this? How do I do this? And he said, trust me. The Lord just kept telling me, trust me. Trust me.
So you would say to women right now who are going through conflict in their marriage and their relationship, the most important and the one and only thing that they would have to do is just trust God in the process.
Trust God. Trust God in the process. Listen, you were speaking it today. Yeah. The process means everything. And I always, like I said in the beginning, Darren has a beautiful heart. I always knew that. From the beginning, from the time when we were in elementary school to middle school, he's always been a very nice guy. He never crossed the line with me, ever. He had opportunity, but he never did. He never did. When he went to the military and he came back, he was always a gentleman with me. But it was only that's how I knew that he had stepped into something he had no business stepping into because everything changed. And I saw him go from this person to this person, and I was like, "Whoa!"
So in essence, when you married I'm talking to the married couples who again dealing with issues. When you married your husband, he was not you. Okay, so when you married him, you fell in love with him. Oh, he wooed you off your feet, but then all of a sudden something happens in his life that causes him to change. Now all of a sudden he changes. He's not what he used to be, but yet still, instead of you trusting God in the process, you get mad at him and then you say everything you drop. Man, you're not talking over here, sweet. You got any questions? I know I'm on a roll. I know.
Listen, I'm glad y'all witnessing this. But I'm gonna let him do his thing.
Okay, all right, okay, but we got a question. I don't mean to cut y'all, but we have a question that I would like for y'all to respond to. Okay, and it said, this is Tillum Fillmore. As a woman of God, how did your influence
from God influence your mate in their walk with Christ?
You want to answer that?
Okay. I know.
No, it's for the woman.
It's for
Celeste.
As a woman of God.
How did your influence from God influence your mate in their walk with Christ? I did not compromise. I wasn't willing to compromise. I asked him to come to church with me, and he agreed. When he did come, I let God do the rest. God saved me the way that he saved me, but I had no power to save Darren. I had to let God be God, and I moved out of the way. When he came, as a matter of fact, he told me, he was on the phone with me and he was messing with me, but I wanted him to see his daughters dance because they praise dance. And I said, you need to come and see these girls dance. You've never been to a recital. You've never been to anything. He had missed so much. But this was, for me, this was part of wanting your family back. You have to show up for them. And so he did. He came. And when he came and he saw his children dance, the Lord did the rest, because he got up and he went to the altar. They asked, did anybody want prayer? He walked up there. He said, I want Jesus. And he gave his life to Christ that day. So
you didn't force him.
I didn't force him. I asked him.
You just asked him, but then you trusted God in the process. Again.
Yes. If you're in a relationship with a young man and they don't want Jesus,
I want you. They want to fulfill.
If they don't want Jesus, they can't have you, because you have to understand the Holy Spirit. He's precious. He's precious. He is the living word living on the inside of you. And if somebody come along and they don't want to, and that's what they want, it's not that. If they want your flesh, and if you give them your flesh, the Spirit of God and unholiness can't dwell in the same vessel. The moment you give it up, guess what? He got what he wanted. He gone.
Oh, yeah.
And who's left with the guilt? You. So we have to always remember what we have on the inside is more precious than anything. Anything. And if he want me, you're gonna have to take the God I serve.
Yeah.
And everything that goes along with him.
So in essence, again, what you said, I'm gonna let you respond, bro. But again, what I'm hearing you saying, Celeste, ladies, just trust the Lord. You can't raise him, you can't change him, you can't do anything for him. Only thing you can do is ask him and encourage him, but you can't force anything or force God on him. He has to want God for himself.
That's right. And you gotta want God more than you want that woman. You gotta want God more than you want your children. You gotta want God. You gotta want God. You gotta want that change. See, look, men, I know men who come from the streets and got married to these women, but they don't want their woman. They just want the comfort of saying that I got a wife. So it's one thing to say one, but to live that life, you have to live it totally, for God and for your family. Because I have men who come to my shop, they say that they were sleeping around. And they're saying something. I say, what? And I say something to them. I say, let me tell you something. Every time you go lay in that other bed, you look to your right side, you're going to see your wife. You look to your left side, you're going to see your children laying in that bed. He said, man, why you say that? I said, because that's the truth. Because whatever you take your body, you take them with you too, because they're part of you. And I give it to him, and I only know one way to give it to you. And that's it. They say, man, you know, you changed your life. You went and you did it overnight. It was a lot of my friends, it was like, how you did this overnight? Like, it's that woman. I said, no, it wasn't a woman. I said, it was God. I said, because I got married, I got saved, I got saved, and I was with this woman, but I was still doing my bad habits at the same time. And I came to her, I said, look, I need you to help me with this. And she was like she couldn't do it.
I had no power to help.
And she had no power. And so I turned to God. And I said, Jesus, now you told me, if I give you my life, you was going to take these things away from me. You know, because he said, come to him bold as we come bold before the throne. So I came bold. And he seen that it was in my heart that I meant well by what I was doing. And when I gave it to him, it was a week before we got married. He took that thing from Minister Lionel. I felt like I was on a cross being crucified. And it was a hand going down my throat. And it was scraping my lungs. It was scraping my appetite away for drugs, for alcohol, for anything. That was over 17 years ago. And God be the glory. I haven't had a cigarette. I haven't had no liquor. I haven't any. Only thing I've been having since then that's bad for me. I'm just messing. It ain't bad for me. No, but the only thing I've been having in life, seriously, it's a great life. I've been having a great time with God, a great communication with my wife. You know, I can see clearly, I can think clearly. Everything changed for me that day when I surrendered to the Lord. When I surrendered to him, I was able to surrender to her. Completely.
I made this statement, this quote last week. And I just said something that God gave me, that if you're in a relationship with a man who does not have a pursuit for God, your relationship is already automatically out of order.
Of course.
100%.
That man has to have God. But I love the fact that, as you said, it had to be what you wanted for yourself, Brother Darren, and for your family.
Amen.
I love the fact that, Ms. Celeste, that you was absolutely determined that you were not going to compromise, you were not going to settle. But even in the process of you're not settling, your mindset of not settling, you knew that without a shadow of a doubt that the only way that this whole situation was going to be fixed is that you had to trust God. You were going to trust God through the whole thing.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yep. And I knew that was the main ingredient for us was Jesus, you know.
Listen, he got fought by my children. The kids was like, we don't want him here. And I remember telling them one day, I said, you will leave before he leaves.
Yeah.
I told the children, you will leave before he leaves, because I knew it was ordained by God. I knew God was, and I knew it took my sister to come over there. And my sister talked to them, and they was like, this is your father. Like, this is not a stranger. This is your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is your blood daddy. So it took a lot for them to but the problem was they did not want
change.
First of all. They didn't want discipline. And the third thing, he's street savvy. I'm not. So they knew certain things they could say. They couldn't get past him. And so I made up my mind when we got married. I made up my mind that he will have the final say. You can come to me, but we were going to form a united front.
Right.
Whatever he said,
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
And a lot of times, I would, even if I thought that they should go and he said no, when we got into our bedroom, I would talk. And I would say, you can't keep them so locked up. They're getting older. But I understood where he was coming from because he know the streets. But what I wanted him to understand was they're older. They're not the 6 and 7 year old anymore.
Right.
They're like the 15, 16 year old.
Right.
And so we have to trust them enough until they give you a reason not to.
Right.
And so it was hard in the beginning, but we formed a united front, and we was like, this is what it is.
So how long have you been married now? How many years now?
16 years.
16?
Going on 17.
Going on 17.
Going on 17 years. What was your greatest? I know you mentioned about the children. What was your greatest? Okay, go ahead, babe. I'm gonna let you answer.
Go ahead, Mr. Ray.
I guess this should have been just
don't go there.
Okay.
No, you're here for a reason. You're the reason that we own this conversation. Come on.
One of my questions was share with us what is your most reliable source for resolving conflict in your marriage?
Oh, that's a good
And I
question.
believe you kind of alluded to it, Darren, when you said the sit down time. But tell us.
Well, I tell you, we really don't argue.
We really don't.
I'm telling you, we had one argument since we've been married. And you know
Wow.
what I did? One big argument.
His fault.
It was my fault. It was my fault. Well, let's go to the first. We had two.
Yeah.
The first one, we first got married. That truck. And you kept hanging out with your sisters. I had to let her know. I said, hey, give me them keys. I know you were finna start that stuff. Right? I want a divorce. I say the devil is a lie. After all this I don't did, I don't gave up to come home and be with you. You ain't going nowhere. I say, go in that room and I'll be in there. You ain't my daddy. Don't go nowhere in my truck. Okay. But she didn't know. I was young and when I said I was so young in God, I was a real babe. I still have milk all around here, Lionel. You know what I'm saying? So I went in there and I had the word of God. I say in Ephesians 5 and 22, he said, "Wives, submit yourself to your." And I knew. God showed me how to fight early.
Okay.
I knew she loved God enough to hear from His word.
Okay.
I had to do it differently. I'm not going to fight. That's a carnal fight. So I'm gonna go to the spiritual side of it. And I would have got there because I walked to that door and I leaned in that front door. I said, Lord, what I'm gonna do though? He said, pick up your word. And I got that word. I went back. She broke down and she cried like a baby. Oh, I'm so sorry. I said, did we talk years later? Did we had another me being stupid? What it was with Will. So this young man had attached himself to us. And I was like, I don't want him around because he his godparent. His daughter's God, our goddaughter's father. But he was clinging to us. Like he had to grab him to his line and we couldn't get. It's like getting some what it is, where you fall in the cactus plant. You get them things in you can't get them out. He was like that. The more you pluck, the more deeper he went. So I told her, Celeste, I don't want that boy in my house no more. I want him here. But when I came home, the first thing I saw him in my house.
Right.
No, that's not what happened. He was here. He had just painted.
No, that was before that time.
No,
Stancy brought him in. You were asleep, and you didn't know Stancy brought him. Oh, all right. And I came in. I seen a boy in my house, and I said, "What I said to you? Say it."
No, you didn't say anything.
I was mad.
You didn't say anything. I didn't know he was mad.
I was just mad. I walked off.
I didn't even know he was mad. Because he was always here with him most of the time, never with me. But my daughter was home, and when Darren came home, I guess he must have felt he was mad. So I went in the room and I did what I was doing, whatever. And about 3:00 in the morning, this one want to fuss about that. 3:00 in the morning while I'm asleep. You know I had a whole problem.
Yeah, I hurt her feelings. I thought she was dishonorable to me. I'm gonna tell you what it was. I thought she was very dishonorable to me, and she actually was. But that was the enemy creeping in because our thing was good. We had a great thing, you know. Yeah. And the enemy see that when he see you got a good marriage, he gonna come stick his old ugly head up.
Yeah.
I almost lost my wife that night, but I thank God that she was willing to stick it out with her brother, you know. Because back then our pastor was then was the Spanish pastor, and he came all the way from West Kendall to our house, and he prayed with us, and we talked, and we, you know.
I was gone.
Yeah.
I left.
Yeah, but you came back in
for about an hour and a half. Yeah. And I wouldn't answer my phone because what he accused me of was more hurtful than anything. Anything. And
you know, you're gonna have those moments.
Yeah.
You're gonna have those moments. You're gonna have
it was tough. And I was was very remorseful. I was very remorseful what I said.
That was a big no.
You know, but you know, I think I was just sprung. You know what I mean? Bro, I was sprung. I ain't gonna lie, I was sprung. You know, nobody. You know, that's my cookie jar. You know, who stole the cookie out of the cookie jar? Nobody. Me. That's who. You know, and I'm very remorseful to that. But you know, but now I know that she's mine completely. That spiritually, physically, mentally, all that. She's my best. She's my bestie. You know, she really, this is my rock. You know, after God, this what he gave me. This the only woman ever, this the only person ever loved me in my life after God like she did.
Wow.
She loved me better than my mama, my father, my brothers, my aunties, my friend, anybody.
Wow.
I remember telling that one day we was riding. And I say, baby, I ain't never had nobody to love me like you love me.
That's powerful, man. That's
Never had
powerful.
nobody love me like my wife loved me. I'm talking about, and I done been in some situations where people say they love me, and I give my all, and then went out and did some crazy stuff for them, and come back when it was time for me to get the love, it never returned.
The return was reciprocated back. Yeah.
But this love, this a God-given love. Our love is covered by God, and I know it's covered by God. And every time something try to come up between it, we get closer. We get closer. You know, and I believe it when he said we became one. We are one. We are really one. You know, and I know whatever disturbs her, it disturbs me. Whatever disturbs me, disturbs her. Because we won.
Right.
And it's my job to protect her as her headship, as her husband, as a leader of my family, as a rabbi in my home. It's my job. Look, I got kids that stay out of town, but I'm still a rabbi in their home too. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Because God, they mine. They ordained under me as my children. God gave me headship over them. That's why I feel like you, I can go in there, boy, don't play with me, you know. A girl don't play with me. You know, and that's how I feel. Yeah. Because you know, God gave me a position. I mean, not only did he give me a position, like you like apostle, like sunshine, this is my sunshine.
Right.
When the storm going on, man, I'm telling you, you know, I love her more when she even mad at me. That's when, oh my God, that's it, bruh. That's it. The madder she get, the happy I am. You understand what I'm saying? But I love that about her. I love that feistiness about her because she's a strong woman, like, you know, and she ain't gonna let nobody touch this, and nobody come against this,
right?
And ain't nobody coming against that,
right? Right.
Yeah. So I know what God gave us is ordained by God. We done been through some tough times. We done been like sticks getting dragged down in the mud, but we came out and we complete. Now we complete. We don't grow the tree. We don't grow the tree.
So you know, it's interesting. I mean, I do apologize for cutting you off.
Do your thing. Go ahead, brother. Do it.
You two have been in contact with each other or knew of each other, if based on what you're saying, for at least 40 years.
At least.
Close to 40 years that you all have tolerated one another. But here it is, though. You're in a marriage that is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
But you are not saying that you did not have your challenges along the way.
We did.
We have a question here. We definitely would like for you all to answer. Go ahead, baby.
How do you continue to trust God through the process without allowing it to change you or cause you to hate how God created you?
Go ahead. You get it. Because in the process, we change together.
Oh, that's good.
And that's how we do. We change together all the way through the whole thing. We change together. We step each the way each other step. See, what I learned is I'm not gonna put myself in front of my wife, right? I'm not gonna allow her to get in front of me. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna keep her on the side of me. That way we can move together. We can move together. We step together. We always be balanced together that way. We keep on going. We'll go through our trials and triumphs together. We ain't gonna put it on the next one and say, no, that's your fault, or baby, it's your fault. No, we're gonna do this together. Oh, hallelujah. I was going through child support. I gotta get to it. I was going through child support, and we went to court, and we thought this thing was gonna be over with. And the baby mama came in acting a fool. And I came in and said, my wife said, you know what? This girl got too much power over us. She ain't said over me. She said over us.
Yes.
This is a prime example, over us. And that right there, this woman bailed me out of some turmoil that I created. And she bailed me out of it. And that's when you know, Miss Sherelle, it ain't no you without me, ain't no me without you. Yes. That we are us together, you know, and that thing, and that's how you have to be. You don't leave your companion in the dirt when they falling. You pick them up and you move on with them, or you do your best of your ability to help till y'all get together and y'all surface this thing and y'all move on with it, or y'all destroy it together. Because you can't do it by yourself. You can't be this mine's and this yours. We share everything. We let nothing separate us.
That's it.
What I'm hearing, Brother Darren, because it sounds, I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Yeah.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it sounds similar to me. I would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for this woman.
Amen. That's it.
Is that the same with you?
Yes, because when you gotta look, this is my rib. I'm gonna get this to y'all like this. I'm a man. I stand upright. She my rib. If you take my rib out, I can't stand upright. I'll be like this. Ooh, screw me. I'm sorry about that. I'll pull everything out. If I was standing up, I'll be leaning like this because I'm missing that main part of me that makes me stand up like a man. But when I add my rib back in, it makes me straighten up. It makes my vertebrae come all the way back in and stand in completion. Without that rib, I don't have nothing, brother.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask a follow-up question on that. Though she has been your rib, has really helped you get where you are.
Hold on. Go ahead. Now I can hear you. Say it again.
Because since she has, as you refer to as your rib, and I mean, that's some great accolades that you have labored upon her. And you acknowledge the fact that you will not be where you're at without her.
Sure.
Has she ever reminded you of that, or threw it up in your face, or said, well, you wouldn't be what you got if it wasn't for me? Have you ever heard that from her, though?
Never. She's never been selfish like that. She's never been a selfish person like that. That's why I love her so much, because she's not selfish and she's caring.
Okay,
she's
so let me ask Miss Celeste, why?
Now, I'm not gonna sit here and say the enemy didn't whisper.
Come on, talk.
Because he did.
Hold on. I want you to bring it real. Don't sugarcoat it. Bring it real, because some folks need to hear this here.
I'm gonna tell you the entire thing. So with Darren's child support issue, he was in arrears over almost $15,000 in arrears. It was because of court fees.
Okay.
So it was almost $15,000 in arrears. So I went into my 401k and I took the money out and I paid it. And then I remember talking to the Lord, because listen, I vested that, right? For my children and myself. And so, but when I married him, we became one, right?
Right.
And I remember driving to church that night, and I heard the Spirit of God say this to me. He said, "It's only money." And I sat back up in the car and I was like, "What?" He said, "It's only money." He said, "You will never sacrifice anything that I cannot repay you." And when he said that to me again, I remembered it's only money. You can't have him. You can't have this, because that's what the enemy wanted to do. He wanted to have control. He wanted to have power over our relationship. And every time it got hard for her, she would go to court. And when she would go to court, it was money. So we decided, let's eliminate all contact. Eliminate it. And we did. When we did that, it was eliminated. You have no more control over him. And so now here comes Christmas. Here comes other stuff, and she can't. It's gone. It's broken. Why? It was only money. You can't control us with money. So even now, finances is not a problem with us. If we don't have it, we don't have it. And it will never be an issue for us because it's only money. Yeah. Finances will never be a problem for us.
But why is it that you have chosen not to? I'm just going to
bring it up.
Throw it in his face. Remind him of what you've done.
We're one. What I did for him, I did for me. I did that for us.
I hope y'all listening, ladies. I hope y'all listening.
I can't listen. I will be remiss to let him fall. And we're one. If he fall, I fall. Mm-hmm. He's the head of my house, regardless of whatever situation he's in. He's the head of this house. Mm-hmm. Without the head, we're nothing.
Even in his flaws,
Even in his flaws, and all. I love everything about Darren Bird. Everything.
Y'all heard that?
And nothing, and no one can come and separate what God has put together, because I know God ordained this relationship, and we don't even have the power to put it asunder.
Come on. And that's
so,
right. Yeah.
so divorce is not an issue. It's not
Divorce is not an option.
No.
It's not an option.
It said to death do your part.
Yeah.
If I ain't heard nothing else, I heard that part. Yeah. No, but it said for better or worse, right? Let's get this. For better or worse, right? Your better might become before your worse, or your worse might become for your better. So if you go through your worst part, then you know your ending gonna be the best that you can make it. See, the easy part is to give up on the marriage.
That's easy.
The hard part is to fight for something that belongs to you.
Come on.
You fight for it. You got to fight for it. You got to go through the ins and the outs of life. Sometimes you're going to have disagreement, but you got to learn how to talk it out. You got to sit there and talk. You got to conversate with one another. You got to have that.
Can I answer that young lady's question too?
Because yes.
At the tail end of her question, remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made.
That's right.
God made you who you are. You never hate how God created you. That's never. Right. Wow. Everything that you have been through in your life, it's for you. It's to better your life. You will never see it again because you've already done that. Been there, done that. You can tell the devil, been there, done that. You're going to have to come another way. Never, everything that's about you, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your trials and your tribulations were put before you so that it is to help you mature, to help you grow, if I can say that, in the things of God. That's who you are. The process nobody said the process is going to be easy. Minister Lionel ministered today. He still had to go through the process of going through the things that he had to go through to get to the place where he is now. So the process is always, it's going to be a little hard sometimes. Sometimes have you ever been to Virginia Key Beach where all those rocks in the water? Mm-hmm. You got to get past the rocks to get to the good water, right?
Right.
Sometimes they hurt to walk across them, but that's just pain. Pain comes to make you stronger. It comes to make you wiser. Yeah. It comes to make you more tolerable of the things of God. Like you have to be able to tolerate something in order to get through it.
We got another question.
Okay.
Go ahead, sweet.
So how do you restore what you tore down by involving others in your marriage?
All right, here we go. When you involve people in your marriage, because it's called an outside influence. Outside influences are always on the
outside of counseling.
Outside of counseling. Okay. Well, you got outside influences. It's always someone that comes to tear down something, try to tell you about something that they don't have. So you have to be careful, and you have to watch and see what they process in life. If they always got tore down relationships, or they can't never stay married, or they are single people, you be aware, you be careful of those people, because they have their own demise that they're trying to figure out, not yours. They're taking what you're going through and making it about them, and try to let you live their life through you. And it doesn't work like that. Could nobody come in here and tell me about my marriage that been divorced 8 times, that can't keep no man or can't keep no woman. Her question is to restore down what involve others in your marriage.
What you tore down by involving others is the others that you involved in your marriage. Are they
not good for
family members? Are they
okay? I respect that.
Yeah,
I respect that.
Or are they other people that came into
the influences? See, how do you restore what you tore down by involving others? It depends on who you involve, and that's what I was saying. So whoever you involve, check out their life. See how they live.
An open question, though. It's like an open question.
Yeah, so you have to check out their life and see how they living. See what's going on in their life before you allow that stuff that they giving you to affect your life. Because if their life not adding up to the stuff they're telling you, then you know to stay away from that.
They're saying if they're family members.
That go with family members too. They're outside influences.
So with family members, we learned early on with outside influences that I never involve anybody outside of my relationship, and especially when problems in our marriage. That's for us. Conflict, we have to learn how to handle conflict,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I learned early in our marriage not to involve people because look, if I go to mom, right, mom's allegiance is to me. It's not necessarily to us. Her allegiance is to me, especially if she don't like my mate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So she's gonna side with me. But if tomorrow is a good day and we lovey-dovey, mom don't like him no more than yesterday, and you done made it worse.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so every time you have a problem, mom is never gonna have nothing good to say about your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when you have to get to the point where you mature with one another.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing Darren and I do, and I hope this can help somebody, communication is key. It is everything in a marriage. Not a text, not a text,
That's right.
verbal communication. The lost art of verbal communication has to return to marriage. You need to sit down, put the phones away, and have a conversation with your mate.
That's good.
Put it on the table, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
When we got married, the one thing I told him, I said, if anything happened out there in the street, you come tell me. You come tell me. Because if I hear it from somebody else, that's going to hurt me. Tell me whatever you need to tell me, even if it's going to hurt me, if it's going to make me cry. He don't like to make me cry. But even if it hurts me, even if it makes me cry, I need for you to tell me. Because if I hear it from somebody else, I'm going to be upset.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. It's
And
good
the
stuff.
good thing is she ain't never got to worry about hearing nothing because I tell my wife everything. She think I'm crazy, but I'm not.
No, I don't think so.
I just believe that whatever I share, it's ours. It's ours because I don't never want nothing to come in and creep in between us and let it be done. I don't want to do nothing that's gonna come back and hurt her anyway. I did enough of that the first 13 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never do that again.
We got
I'll
one
never-
more. We got one more question, and we're gonna wrap this up. Y'all been dropping some good nuggets here.
Great nuggets.
I'm talking about it's well. Anyway, listen.
Even though I couldn't get a word in.
No, you got a word in now. You got a word
So
in now.
in your
You hate
own
yourself.
words, in your own words, and either one of you can answer this one. Define a kingdom marriage.
Okay. A kingdom marriage is truly based on being led by God, being led by the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's based on the woman giving the man an opportunity to hear from God, and it's based on a man giving his wife an opportunity to hear from God too. Because just like if I can hear from him, she can hear from him, and then to take that thing and you take it and you work on it. Never base your life, your relationship off just feelings, because feelings change. But you base it off the word of God and how you live. If you our marriage is based off Ephesians 5:22.
All right.
Down. That's our marriage right there. And I like I love my wife how Christ loved the church, that I gave myself for her. Even with the washing of the word. See, that washing of the word means a lot. You got to wash her in the word sometimes. You got to be praying for her when she don't know the prayer's coming.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
I see. Go ahead.
I mean, y'all got any final sense? Because y'all, we.
Okay.
I think
go
a
ahead.
kingdom marriage is
wonderful.
First of all, one that is ordained by the Lord.
Yes.
I think that you need to know who you are and know your position in your marriage. My husband is the head of our household. He's the head of me. I don't ever try to tear him down. We don't argue in public. Any conflicts we have, I try to take him to the bedroom, because that's where, I'm gonna say this. Thank you, Holy Spirit. The Lord taught me something with that first argument we had. He said to me, because I said, Lord, I don't have anybody I can talk to. He said, go home and talk to him. And I learned this. I learned this in our relationship. Wait for a door to open. It's not always good to respond in conflict right away.
That's good.
Wait. I don't care if it's 2, 3, 4. I don't care if it's a week later. Wait for the door to open.
Yeah.
When the door opens, that's the perfect time to say.
Yep.
And God will prick your heart to say what needs to be said. Why? Because then his ear is ready to hear exactly what you're saying.
Yes.
If not, you don't want them just to hear it. You want them to listen and to take note of what is being said. So be strategic in how you respond, ladies. Be very strategic in how you respond. Everything don't require a response right away. He did something, he made you mad. It's okay, get mad. Go in the room and talk to Jesus.
Can I get one shake?
Mhm.
Husbands, read the word with your wife.
Read the word.
And pray with your wife. Pray with your wives. Read the word with your wife.
That's important.
It's very important. That's very important because she needs to hear those things from God as well. And she want to know that just that she hear the things from God, but she want to know that you are hearing from God.
And trust the Jesus that's in you.
That's
Trust
it.
the Spirit of God
Yeah.
that's on the inside of your mate.
Yeah.
God didn't give him to you to rule over you. He gave him to you to lead you.
Yeah.
And so let him lead you. Trust him. You know what? Even if he fail at it, trust him. You know what? Because he gonna get up.
Mhm.
Don't tear him down when he already down. Help him up.
Mm.
You have the womb to birth out whatever it is that he has in him.
Mhm.
Push him.
Come on.
Push. You gotta push him.
Push.
Help him.
Push.
That's your job.
You-
Help me.
That's
Help
right.
him.
Come on. If she pushing, you better be pulling, brother. The man better be pulling her back into the place where she belongs at too. I get that from a wise man named Apostle Jonas. He always said that women are pushers. And the men, you pull your woman up in the position that she belongs to. When she puts you in your rightful position, you pull her up.
That's good.
That's right.
Hey, wow. What can you say?
Thank you, Lionel.
God be
I
the
can say
glory.
thank God and thank you for this opportunity, man, to allow us to come on air and share our life with you. You know, just to give us the opportunity to let people know that God can do anything. He's great. He can
He
take.
can take a 13-year separation, bring it back
Together.
together, and ordain it for his glory.
Yeah.
Yes, he could.
For his glory.
For
I
his
love
glory.
You would never know we were separated the way that we act.
it.
No.
We still honeymooning,
No.
y'all.
I know
Yeah.
that's
And they and what I love about you all is that you all are so authentic, but then the way that you carry yourself, it is enough to cause and create other couples to look up to you
Yeah.
and to respect.
Thank
And
God
by
for
you
that.
coming on this show, they can't not do anything but respect you even more.
Yeah.
Because again, you all cover just about everything that there could be covered as far as
Yes.
relationship is concerned.
Oh, praise God.
And really, if you ask me, you all have removed all excuses,
Yeah.
all whatever they want to say, as far as for whatever reason for them not to stay together or for that marriage not to work. But this has to be something that they are willing to do.
Mhm.
So I'm done. You got anything that you want to say, sweetie?
No, they answered everything.
Y'all covered everything. We had a big old list of questions here. My wife done rolled out and y'all was on a roll.
Yeah.
But we know there was nobody but God. So
Yes.
definitely in the
That's
process.
why the enemy fought in the beginning.
That's
For
why he
us not
fought.
coming
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, because he knows it was something going to change somebody's life. When I pray to God that
Yes.
somebody's
I pray
life does
something
get
was said,
that
yeah.
something was said here that changed a life today. If it changed, it pricks a man's heart that's running from his responsibilities, or it pricks the woman's heart that won't allow the man to do his responsibilities.
Allow them to be the husband
So,
and
yeah.
a father to those children.
Yeah,
Allow them.
allow.
We got this comment here. Go ahead, baby.
She got me all the way together. This show always does.
Well,
God
that's
be
what
the
it's all
glory.
about. Listen, we have couples that are actually struggling,
Yes.
you know, and not only for those that are, you know, may already be married, but also we're praying and believing that this show is good for those who want to get married or in that
Mhm.
that phase or that moment of engagement.
Right.
You know, y'all said so much here tonight. I don't even know what else to
I
say.
know. Hey, my mom always said this before we go to her husband. She said, "Son, I don't care what you do in your life. You always treat your wife how you want a man to treat your daughters and your mother."
That's
And
it.
that's what I do right there.
That's
And I
it.
feel like-
Same here,
And
bro.
it shows.
and that-
It
and that's
shows.
Yeah.
This you know I ain't gotta say it. This it. This it.
A grapefruit.
That's
Yeah,
it.
this is my grapefruit. I call it my grapefruit. It sounds crazy, right? But you know the grapefruit, you gotta peel that grapefruit, right? You got to get all that bitterness and all that stuff out the way so you can get to the sweet part.
Get to
And when you get to that sweet part, oh my God. Oh my God. Y'all be
sweet
blessed.
and juicy.
Hey, it's been a great past hour or so. Again, we do apologize for the technical issues, but I think what we needed to accomplish and wanted to accomplish tonight in tonight's show was done. You all have said so much that we strongly believe will be definitely helpful to those who take it in and those who receive. So, but hey, we always extend a future invitation to y'all, and we hope that you will accept again to come back on a Father's Note with my beautiful wife and I.
Yeah.
Hey, we love y'all.
We love you too.
Yeah. Hey, y'all ain't got nothing on us.
And look,
Yeah, not a thing. Hey,
We love you guys
we
so
love
much.
you all. We see
right,
you next week.
man.
God bless.
God bless.